So Al did the right thing. He didn't vote for it, but we need him to help us fight to make sure the cities get on board to stop it. So, okay, everybody, here we are on the Palos Verdes Peninsula. Assemblyman Muratsuchi, he actually did one thing right. He did not vote for the sanctuary state bill, but now we need his help because we need him to put pressure on the rest of the we need to put pressure on all the other cities in the South Bay to opt out, just as Los Alamitos has done, just as Barstow has done, just as Orange County has done, just as San Bernardino County is about to do. Oh, pastries. I'll take the fish. Somebody's taking really good care of us. We have a nice little fish. How you doing? All right. Let's see.
Somebody ate all the chocolate.
Does the coffee look good?
Cookies are gone already.
Oh, well, there's some cookies. I got one. Yes, this is really good. I also have signs. I'm glad you made it. I know it's tough. This is great.
Oh, is the coffee gone?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, the cream's gone. There's still coffee.
I'm in the front row.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I want to make sure he's.
Good messaging.
Yeah. And here's I know this guy was killed by an illegal as well. I know his mom. I know both their mothers.
Oh, it's warm. It's warm. It's still there.
So, some people I know have shown up today. We need to make it really clear that illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. Here I have two victims pictured right there. I don't know if the Assemblyman knows about these lives. I hope she does today. I'm probably going to be using this a lot. And of course. Right, it is already 3:32 and the Assemblyman isn't here yet. Let's see what happens.
It made no sense. It made no sense. Harry and Diet Pills both lost the Price is Right. Someone saw that picture. Some guy named Raymond in Texas who makes those pictures for me. So everybody, here we go. We got a pretty decent crowd that showed up. So, Cyrus, I'm in the front row. You got a new shirt. Good for you. I'm right over there. I got the signs there, too. So, you were telling me something about assistant city manager in Hermosa Beach. What happened? I'm not going to say anything yet.
Oh, okay. You can't say anything right now? Okay, fair enough. You know, next time somebody wants to make a stink about the proper use of the term, just tell them about Ruben. 13-year-old boy executed by an illegal alien. He wasn't undocumented. He wasn't a piece of paper. So that would be a good response. You know, if someone tries that. Yeah, he was 13 years old.
How old was the guy that shot him?
Probably twice his age. would qualify as a DACA recipient today. Yep. I know his mother, Angie. So, and Ron Silva here was gunned down by a gangbanger, illegal in El Monte.
How you doing?
And these lives apparently don't matter to most politicians, and I don't know why. And you never hear these stories.
I'm surprised about that one in San Francisco where the guy claims he dropped the gun.
Oh yeah, Kate Steinle.
The guy was found not
I know.
guilty. The guy was found not guilty.
Now here's the funny thing. There was a Polish illegal who beat a dog, and he got deported for beating an animal. But you kill an American, you don't get deported.
I just don't understand how that
It's
jury found him not guilty.
it's San Francisco, and it was a sticking point against the Trump administration.
I don't know.
It was a political stunt, and it's terrible.
I thought that the guy dropped the gun. He
Ah.
dropped the gun and dropped it.
And he stole it too. It was a federal law enforcement officer's firearm. So right away, it's a murder. This is Ken.
Nice to see
Yeah,
you.
this is Cyrus. He was originally from South Orange County. He moved to Las Vegas to, because any place is better than California for most.
Yeah, and I have long-term goals there. So, yeah.
And say, there's Cheryl, Peter, friends of mine
something
too.
wrong with your gas prices. I think it's one digit.
Oh, you want to know who voted to raise our gas tax?
I know.
Al Muratsuchi.
Amen.
That's why. And you know who voted for that cap and trade racket? Al Muratsuchi.
SOB.
That's okay, but he was a little concerned about illegals being able to stay here because of the law enforcement issue. But like a coward, he just abstained on it rather than voting no.
Exactly.
So let's see if he actually has some backbone and maybe help us to fight it in the district. Oh, I know. Oh, okay, I better be careful. Here, come on over.
Traffic.
Or he knows we're here and he's not going to show up. Okay. So let's see here. 3:36. Okay, it's not too late. All right. There's Ruben. And there's Ron. The meeting was supposed to start at 3:30. It's almost 3:40. Wow, that's kind of rude. So Al isn't here yet, and I don't know why.
It used to rain.
Amazing. But let's look.
Okay, what's your name?
Iwasaka.
Okay, hello. Take a look at Ruben here because this is a life that mattered. He showed up. I'm right here, that's all. Here we go.
Sorry to keep everyone waiting, but
If you want.
without wasting any more time, why don't I get started here? My name is Al Muratsuchi, and I have the privilege of representing Palos Verdes in the South Bay in the California State Assembly. The reason why I'm late is because first time ever, I couldn't find a single parking spot on the rooftop or downstairs, and so I had to park on the street and hike it over here. I want to welcome everyone. This is a great turnout, and I suspect we're going to have a lively conversation today about a wide range of issues. And so from Palos Verdes up the coast through the beach cities, covering the entire city of Torrance and going out east to cover Lomita, unincorporated Los Angeles County community of West Carson, Harbor City, Harbor Gateway, and up to most of Gardena, not the entire city of Gardena, but most of Gardena. So, you know,
And they're funny.
I think because whether strategical or not, because all the media has been focusing on all the tweets, here in California, there's been a lot of good news.
Badly run. I'm from Las
Sir,
Vegas.
okay.
Dude, if you're from Las Vegas, why don't you go to Las Vegas?
I've lived here for 25 years.
That's great.
Call the sheriff and let him remove. All right.
That's so many problems.
Shut up. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you or you.
I haven't said anything, sir. Why are you being rude? You're being hostile. I didn't say anything.
We're going to show, unlike out of Washington, D.C., we're going to show how we can have a civil conversation, respect people's different opinions, and yeah, we will have an interesting conversation. So, before I go further, I see our Palos Verdes Estates Councilman Kenny Coe walking in. Congratulations, Councilman, and everyone in the Palos Verdes Estates for saving our police department. I know that there was an important special election that just took place.
Well, it's filling up
and
fast.
So, thank you, Councilman, for your leadership and protecting your community.
I do. Oh, sure. I invited him.
I also saw our Palos Verdes Library trustee, Kay Ju, walk in. Please welcome Kay Ju. And I do not see any other elected officials. No? Okay. All right. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in California. And I would like to share a lot of what's going on. First of all, California has grown from the 7th to the 6th largest economy in the world. We have surpassed France in terms of our GDP. And we are leading most of the country in terms of our economic growth as well as our job growth. I'm looking at this Los Angeles Times business section. You know, it's not on the front page, but it's on the front of the business section. Recent, let's see, March 8th of this year. And the headline is, "State keeps adding more jobs." Job growth in California was more robust than expected, as the unemployment rate fell to a record low of 4.4%. We are nearing the longest employment expansion since World War II. Construction and trade showing the strongest hiring, but also manufacturing, education and health services, as well as leisure and hospitality also posting increases. So there's a lot of fake news out there, but I think we all need to focus on the facts. When the California economy is going well, our state budget is doing well. And I'm proud to say, as education's always been one of my top priorities, that we've been able to restore billions of dollars in education funding for our schools, cuts that were made during the Great Recession. On top of that, in terms of the state's overall fiscal health, we have gone from a point in 2011, I think it was just 7 years ago, so many of us remember the headlines when people were talking about California being ungovernable and facing a budget deficit of over $26 billion. Well, this year, proud to say that we are not only building on a rainy day fund that we created a couple years ago, but in fact, we're looking at over $13 billion in this rainy day fund to save for the rainy day, which we all know, there are good times and bad times, but I think it's only makes good fiscal sense to save for the rainy day. So, can I get some water? So that's the economy and the job situation in the state of California. I'd like to share 3 of my priorities that I've been working on, and then I'd be happy to open up for some questions to hear what's on your minds and to hear what your concerns are. Number 1, jobs in the economy. I suspect there are a good number of either current or retired aerospace folks in the room. And in fact, we all know that Palos Verdes in the South Bay was built on the aerospace industry. I am chairing a select committee on the aerospace industry, and again, I am proud to say that we are seeing a comeback within the aerospace industry. Companies like SpaceX, they have gone from 0 jobs in 2006 to now projecting up to 5,000 jobs in the South Bay. A lot of those folks living in our district, living in the South Bay. Northrop Grumman, they landed one of the biggest aerospace contracts in decades.
Thank God for Trump.
And they are also projecting the creation of over 5,000 jobs in Southern California.
Trump.
I want to continue California's proud legacy in the aerospace industry by continuing to champion and support the industry. I have a bill to create a California Aerospace Commission that will serve as a bully pulpit and will advise the governor and the legislature on what policy ideas and solutions that we need to work on in order to continue to support. This is with annual revenues of less than $150,000, and this bill is working its way through the state legislature as I speak. So those are some of the things that I'm working on in terms of jobs in the economy. Second, education. I know that a lot of folks move to Palos Verdes because of the great schools here. A lot of people are very proud of our schools up here in Palos Verdes, and I want to continue to not only protect the high quality of our public schools on the Hill, but I want to make sure that we get our fair share of funding from Sacramento.
No ESL.
And so along those lines, I've introduced an Assembly Bill 2808, which is proposing funding targets so that we can get California from right now, we're about 43rd in the nation in per pupil spending. I think we can do much better as the 6th largest economy in the world. I believe that education should be our #1 priority in terms of funding our schools. And so this bill is a bill that's supported by everyone from the California State PTA to the California School Boards Association, school boards across the state, teachers, administrators, classified employees, as well as parents. We are working together to fight for more funding for our K-12 schools. I'm also working hard in the area of career technical education. A lot of the aerospace employers that I was talking about earlier, they talk about how they can't find enough good workers, especially workers like welders and sheet metal workers. And not all of us need to go to college, and not all of us should have to go to college in order to find good jobs.
This is Trump.
And that's why I've been championing
Trump talks about this.
career technical education programs. I used to sit on the Board of Education of the Southern California Regional Occupational Center, located in Torrance, but it's also a joint program that's also involves the Palos Verdes School District as one of the 6 school districts that participates in this program. I've been able to deliver an additional $10 million for SCROC so that we can continue to support this excellent program that is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And last but not least, like everyone, I'm fed up with all the traffic. And I am working on a solution with the additional transportation funding that we were able to pass last year. I'm working on one of my top priority projects is to extend the Metro light rail to to the South Bay. Right now, if you look at the metro lines serving Los Angeles County, the South Bay is like a big empty gap in public transportation service, especially in terms of light rail. And so I've been working with the governor and with Mayor Garcetti, who basically controls the Metro Board. And we were able to get the South Bay extension that will extend the Metro Green Line that right now stops at Aviation in North Redondo, to extend that, first to stop just south of the South Bay Galleria, and then following existing tracks coming down into the heart of Torrance on Crenshaw and Delama Boulevards. This will help get cars off the streets, off of our freeways, especially the nightmarish 405. And I think it's going to be a win-win-win for everyone that lives in the South Bay. We'll get cars off the roads, improve the traffic situation, cut down on air pollution, and improve the quality of life for all of us in the South Bay. So those are some of the things I've been working on. I'd be happy to answer any questions or hear about what's on your mind.
How come we keep taxing?
Sir, let's
Yeah, that's a great question. Don't interrupt him.
Sir, if you're not going to be civil about this, then I'm going to ask the sheriffs to escort you.
Bullshit.
Yeah, don't talk like that.
Throw us out like you did in
Sir,
Redondo Beach.
could you leave?
Wow.
Could you leave, sir?
Are you discriminating against an old man?
No, I have a question rather than bantering it. It's a serious one.
Okay, well, I think the lady here has been patient.
All right.
Well, he spoke.
You can raise your hand first, and
We have no state income
we will
tax.
conduct this discussion in a civil manner, sir.
Okay. Well, you interrupted him. It isn't civil. He had a question and you blew him off.
So it was just related to your thing about, I was just on the 405.
Okay.
So, but my children live in Culver City, they extend the metro. When you get into those systems, and it's hard sometimes to get to the stations, and our experience with them in Culver City is that there's no parking. So I was just gonna say, if you're on the border, you're doing anything with them, if you don't allow enough room for some cars to park, more than a few, it diminishes the usefulness of the system. I just wanted to throw that out because
Okay.
as a practical matter,
Yeah.
that's the reality.
I completely agree. I think we need to create these commuter hubs where
But you
people
need
can
that
park
parking
there.
for them.
Exactly.
Like they do on the East Coast.
Yeah. And so I'm emphasizing that, but thank you. I completely agree with you, and we're going to be working on that.
Sir, just a follow-up to this lady's question over here with respect to parking. If you want to use a model, the Willow Street Station in Long Beach has a large parking structure and also a sheriff or police substation, which provides added security. So that's a great model to follow for the Green Line, bringing it further south.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll take a closer look at that.
Hey, well,
Sir, you had your question.
Oh, yes. Alan, I noticed that you did not cast a vote on Senate Bill 54. I would like to know the reason you did not cast a vote. And then at the same time, with regards to the reason, could you please state your opinion, how you would have voted had you been.
Okay.
Had the
well,
guts to.
First of all, I was there. And in fact, I did not support the Sanctuary State Bill. And in fact, I spoke out against it on the floor of the State Assembly to express my concerns. Now, having said that, I want to first emphasize that that I've supported every immigrant rights bill that's come through the legislature except for that one.
Legal or illegal?
I support the Dreamers, and I support a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. But I felt that that bill was going too far. And as a former prosecutor, and former Deputy Attorney General with the California Department of Justice, my basic concern was that I felt that it was too restrictive in tying the hands of law enforcement in being able to cooperate with federal immigration officials. Now, having said that, I want to acknowledge that there is the issue is much more complicated than what a lot of the activists want to make it out to be on either side. Case in point, there was a split among law enforcement leaders in terms of the sanctuary state bill. The Los Angeles Police Department Chief, Charlie Beck, supported sanctuary state. There were other police chiefs in other parts of the state of California that also supported sanctuary state. The concern is that we don't want,
This guy shovels
if
it
you
with
ask
both
any
hands.
police officer, any police chief in particular, they will tell you that it is not their job to enforce immigration laws. And the problem when people perceive police as enforcing immigration laws, that inhibits folks in undocumented immigrant communities to report and cooperate with law enforcement. And so that is the concern that, while we don't want to tie the hands of local law enforcement working with federal officials, there's a concern that local law enforcement would not be able to do their job to protect folks if they were fearful of being deported if they reported crimes or otherwise cooperated with local law enforcement. So,
I'm sorry, but that's so not true.
Great answer, but my question
Broke the
was,
law.
You're
why
lying.
you failed
He's
to
asking.
make a vote one way or the other. You're kind of dancing all around it.
Yep.
You're saying this, you're saying that, but you're
Yep.
not making a stand one way or the other.
Would you have voted for it or not?
You failed to vote on it.
I respectfully disagree.
We
The
don't
fact-
pay you not to vote.
The fact that I stood up on the floor of the State Assembly to express my opposition, but let me tell you why I intentionally abstained from that vote. Because, there are times, such as with the sanctuary state bill, where because the issue is so complicated and because there is a split in law enforcement on this issue, I see merits on both sides of the argument, and that's why I did not want to vote for it, because I did not want to unnecessarily tie the hands of local law enforcement in working with federal officials. But on the other hand, I didn't want to vote against it because I think that LAPD Chief Charlie Beck and others have a very important point that needs to be acknowledged, which is that their job is to protect their communities and not to enforce immigration law.
Thank
So
you
that
for
is
making-
why.
Thank you for making it clear that you made no vote yes or no.
Well-
You just kind of dodged it.
Yeah, you sure did.
Again,
And you know something else? You know what?
Sir,
You have Charlie Beck. No, I'm sorry. I want to speak to this because you have skipped me and you skipped over that gentleman too.
Are you a registered voter in his district?
Yes, I am. I live in the city of Torrance. Thank you
do?
very much. So be quiet. Sir, I want to speak. You're not telling the truth. You're not telling the truth. I want to be able to speak to this.
You let Al talk.
I want to be able to.
Obviously, you
what
have an
you're saying is
agenda.
not true. Of course I do. Protecting
sit down.
American citizens.
So sit down, jackass.
I do have an agenda that Americans like Ruben Morphine don't get murdered by illegals. You have a problem with that?
Shut up and sit down.
I would like to speak next, sir, because what you're saying is wrong.
Make an arrangement to come and speak.
I have, and he wouldn't show up.
Not you.
You don't get to talk to me like that, and you cut off that man, and that was wrong too. I want to speak to that. What you said was not true. Don't you ever get in my face again.
I'll get in your face anytime I want.
Okay, you want to be violent now?
No, I'm not going to be violent.
Yes, you are, getting all up in my face. Whoa, you need to calm down, buddy. Why are
I'm
you so
very
angry?
calm.
No, you're not.
Is the sheriff's on their way? Okay.
Yeah.
Seriously?
You're not going to stand here and disrupt
This is supposed to be a town hall, and I want to speak on that issue.
Something important I want to talk to Al about.
Okay, so immigration is not important.
Okay,
She has a right to her
Just-
opinion
I get it.
and her point.
Raise your hand.
I will. Okay, I will wait, but you skipped over him.
In the back,
All right.
Even though I knew it was going to be, you know, a challenging question, and
Yeah.
I'm going to give everyone a fair shot. Who was next?
Yes, the first there are two bills that have reached the Assembly to kind of offset the cap that the federal government has been putting on, will put on California for reductions of state taxes and property taxes.
Yes.
And so I wanted to know what the status of those bills are,
Okay.
and where they are. And
Okay.
what are
So, I haven't studied the details yet, but it's my understanding that the California Realtors are sponsoring a proposition that they believe they qualified for the November ballot, which is to allow homeowners to carry their Prop 13 tax assessment base to any new property, so that by purchasing new property as their primary residence, they would not be, they were in their home for 30, 40 years, and their property is, if they're paying their residential property tax, you know, at the value that it was assessed 30, 40 years ago, plus the annual adjustments by the LA County assessor, that they would be able to take that assessed value and move to another property.
And then there was, I know that the new tax bill that was passed at the federal level, they put a limit on how much you can deduct.
Oh, okay, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
All right.
so I had heard that there were two bills that had reached the Assembly.
Yes.
That were, you know, attempting to address that. And I just wanted to know where the status of those two bills.
Well, I know of one bill which was to, I haven't had a chance to study it yet, because it hasn't come my way for an opportunity to vote on it yet. But it's my understanding that they're basically trying to get around the Trump administration's federal tax reform that is going to cap our deductions on state and local taxes.
Right. Do you have any sense as to what the chances are of those bills passing the Assembly?
It is my understanding that that there's a good chance of that bill passing. However, there's also a good chance of the Trump administration just changing the law again to circumvent what California is trying to do to fight back against the Trump administration's federal tax reform. I know that that federal tax reform is going to hit Californians, especially those that live in places like Palos Verdes and the South Bay, much harder than folks in most of the rest of the country, because we can deduct so much with our property taxes in particular, and that's going to be a big tax hit that the Trump administration is imposing on us.
Learn from us.
Yes, sir.
I had a question on your bill to oppose the offshore oil drilling.
Yes, thank you very much. So that is another bipartisan issue that I'm championing. I think, especially in Palos Verdes, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we don't want to see oil rigs off the, ruining our views from Palos Verdes, and threatening the environment with the potential for these disastrous oil spills that we've seen, whether starting with the 1969 Santa Barbara oil spill, or more recently the Refugio oil spill, also near Santa Barbara. And so I've introduced the bill, Assembly Bill 1775, which seeks to fight the Trump administration's recent proposal to renew offshore oil drilling off the coast of California by prohibiting any new infrastructure, pipelines and rigs to be built in the 3-mile state water jurisdiction. California controls 3 miles from the coast out to sea. Beyond the 3-mile marker is federal waters. Thank you. That is a bill that I've introduced. The bill just got out of the Assembly Natural Resources Committee, which I chair, and it's making its way through the legislature. There's a companion bill that's also been introduced in the California State Senate. But for those of you who are concerned, who want to stop any new offshore oil drilling that threatens our beautiful coast of California, please support AB 1774.
Al, this kind of is related in a way to the oil drilling. We live in Redondo Beach. After 40 years here in Palos Verdes, we moved down there to walk at the waterfront, enjoy the views, and commune with nature. As you know, our waterfront has been threatened. Right now, we're in front of the Coastal Commission fighting off a mall instead of a harbor. So
in Redondo Beach.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you got to come down and visit the waterfront. We live right down below where the glass bottom boat. We're right above. So, as a California delegate for AB 66, I attempted to write a resolution for our party to adopt. And I'd like to share it with you, and maybe you can pursue it in a different form. This is to the California Democratic Party. And part of it says, whereas the Coastal Commission and the California Coastal Act were created out of citizens' concerns for coastal land use, and the Coastal Commission's mission is to protect, conserve, restore, and enhance the environment of the California coastline. And whereas it has been observed that special interests have partnered with Democratic Party elected officials in my city, Democratic Party operatives, Democratic candidates to threaten the effectiveness of the Coastal Commission and the Coastal Act by manipulating and adulterating the original mission of the Coastal Commission and by ignoring the ideals that produced the Coastal Act. And whereas the people of California have borne the unreasonable burden of protecting their coastal lands from predatory commercial special interest for public interest protection. So I won't read the rest of it, but you get the idea.
Yeah. So
what I'd like you to do is maybe I'm gonna give this to you, and maybe staff can look at it.
Sure.
What I'd like you to do is consider in the future, I know you've got a lot going on right now, but in the future, I would like to strengthen the Coastal Act, and especially against special interests. Because we were at the Coastal Commission the other day, and we all testified. It was, they have a lot of influence, and they're gonna try to crush us. They've already cost us $100,000 in legal fees because they brought these slap lawsuits.
Yeah.
It's not fair, and I'd like to, I'm requesting that you.
Andrew, yeah, you can hand it to Andrew.
Okay, make sure that Al.
All right. Barbara, you know where to find me. Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, I think the voters of Redondo Beach clearly spoke with Measure C. You don't want, a huge development on the waterfront in Redondo Beach.
What happened Thursday at the Coastal Commission, 2 days ago, they said, even though, for the audience, for your knowledge, the people of Redondo Beach worked very hard. We got a citizens initiative on the ballot. We worked very hard to get it passed. we worked very hard to get some really wonderful new people in office. And yet the Coastal Commission is ignoring Measure C. It's null and void as far as they're concerned.
Okay.
The people spoke, and they're not considering that at all.
Okay. Well, let's follow up on that.
If you could possibly write a letter on our behalf.
Whoa. Okay, this has gone on a while.
Barbara, we will follow up, and I know it's an important issue, especially for folks who go down to the beach, and so.
To us, it's life and death.
Okay, thank you. Sir?
All right.
Finally.
I have to say, I've lived in this state for 25 years.
You live in the South Bay?
What difference does it make? Your sanctuary policy endangers my state. You
I'm
know
just
that?
curious, I'm just curious.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something. I pay $2.95 for my gas in Las Vegas. I come out here, they don't have this kind of traffic, and the roads are in fine, better shape. Your state has the highest poverty rate. Your housing costs are out of control. Your state is so great. So many people are leaving, like a lot of people that live in my neighborhood. We don't have politicians like Kevin Delian, who admits his family used fake social security numbers.
That's right.
I'm going to be working so hard to make sure that Las Vegas will not turn into Los Angeles. All right? Let me finish my point.
She gave a long question, and you're going to shut him down?
Las Vegas is the greatest in the world. All of you that come there, you're going to be talking of envy and
She gave a speech.
Sanctuary policies put my safety at risk. My attorney general is going to probably sue you guys in court.
Al, you let her speak at length.
Just to let you know,
Okay.
shame to all the people that have made this state run into the ground. And so many people are leaving. You're not embarrassed by it? Why don't you learn from us? We have no state income taxes.
I do have a question, Al. I do have a question, Al.
So you have no question. My mayor, my council members, my state senator, my senator, they all respect me.
Okay,
because we respect other people's opinions. We value the
Hey, Cyrus, can I ask a question now?
Thank you. Now let me respond. So I appreciate you raising the question. I mean, you raised some very important points.
All the pain I had to
one
go
of
through
the
living here.
Stop being rude.
My family
You let her go on and on forever.
I care about them.
I gave you your opportunity to be heard. Now I ask for you to respond. So I think you do raise a very important point that I am very concerned about, and many people in Sacramento are very concerned about, which is the affordability of housing in particular. And that is why there are a lot of people. I mean, I know a lot of folks in this room. You know, I've heard from many of you who talk about how your children or your grandchildren can't afford to live in Palos Verdes or anywhere near Palos Verdes because of the increasing costs of housing in California.
Henderson is nice and cheaper.
And so, you know, so certainly folks do have a right to go to Las Vegas if they want to go to Las Vegas. You know, and, but there are.
But I want to stay here.
You know, the point is that if they could, they want to stay here. And because we do have such a beautiful state, and we lead the country and the world in so many ways. I mean, we are the home of Silicon Valley. We are the home of the entertainment industry. We are the largest agricultural industry in the whole country. We still, despite all the cutbacks since the Cold War years, we still lead the country with our aerospace industry. And there's so many things that we can be proud of California as the leader, national and global leader in innovation. There's a reason why there's more venture capital that comes to California than any other state in the country. There's a reason why we are leading the country and the world in innovation, whether in high tech or aerospace or entertainment or music. And so we want to make sure that we can extend the California dream to everyone. know, and that is a big challenge. I mean, when we talk to employers now, one of their biggest concerns is finding housing for their employees. You know, they can't. There are
Why not Las Vegas?
they are losing because you know
It's too far to commute.
they don't want.
You actually own a car? I find that hard to believe.
So we
I
are.
was 39 yesterday, after being 92.
We are working on a wide range of proposals. Last year, we passed a $4 billion initiative that's going to be on the June ballot to try to build more affordable housing. You know, we're having a lot of conversations about streamlining the process to build more housing. But I know, you know, I suspect that folks in this room, you're not very fond of that idea, and that is a very important discussion that we're having in Sacramento.
So is there anything you can learn from us?
No.
There were a couple bills that I opposed last year that were designed to you know, make it easier to build more high-density housing. You know, I felt that as a representative of the South Bay, I felt that I was representing my constituents by opposing these bills. You know, I do believe that folks in the South Bay, you know, while concerned about the affordability of housing and the growing homelessness crisis, that you don't want to undermine the quality of life that you enjoy here in Palos Verdes and in the South Bay. So it's an ongoing issue, and I can't say that I have all the good answers, but you know, that is where I stand. I see my job as to fight to protect the quality of life of the South Bay. You know, Councilman Coe knows that there was another very controversial bill last year that I opposed, and thank God the governor vetoed it. But there was a bill to install all these small cell towers that can you know, interfere with your views and decrease your property values and taking away much of the local control that Councilman Coe and all of our Palos Verdes elected officials. I see Susie Seymour from our Palos Verdes School District also joining us. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's one of the big issues in California. But that's,
I hope your home prices tank.
Yeah.
Hi, I am a home educator. I've homeschooled my children for 12 years, and I've really appreciated the freedoms and also the flexibility that one, homeschooling's offered, but also the state of California comparative to certain other states in in the United States. Recent issues have happened, and there's been bills that have been submitted that I'm concerned about, and how it will affect my ability to have my privacy, as well as the choice to teach my children how I feel that they should be taught. And I wanted to know what your stance and your position was on AB 2926 as well as AB 2756.
Okay, one of those is Assemblymember Medina's bill, I suspect.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one about being able to inspect our homes.
Oh, God.
And it just seems
Total
arbitrary to
Orwellian.
some degree. There's not a lot of, yeah, well, there's issues about certifying teachers, as well as being able to come into our homes and inspect our homes, which, you know, who is the one inspecting and what is their standard, and how, you know, there could be different things that could make, and so I'm just curious as to what your position is.
Okay. Well, number one, I strongly support school choice, and I support the right of parents to educate your children at home if that's what you believe is best for your children and your family, and so I strongly support that. The reason why at least Assemblymember Medina introduced his bill was because of the the Paris, California situation where, you know, it was a very embarrassing situation. They were homeschooling their kids, and the program was certified by the California Department of Education, and you know, they found out that there were, I believe, 13 kids that were basically enslaved in their home.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
What does that have
so
to do
we
with
all
homeschooling,
agree.
though?
I agree, it's completely
outrageous.
terrible.
Yeah.
However, it feels like a knee-jerk reaction. It
Yep.
feels like overstepping our
Okay.
freedom. She has something to comment about it as well.
I-
How about her?
Or if, okay. I just want to follow up, as she's talking about the Turpin case. Actually, the first child was in public school and was teased relentlessly at school because she smelled and because there were signs of abuse and neglect, but nothing was ever reported. So then the family took her home and did all the homeschooling. So it's not really, it really shouldn't be targeted towards homeschoolers or people that choose not to put their kids in public schools. It should be targeting child abusers, period.
Yeah.
And the kids that are abused, most of the deaths that happen are under the age of 5. So if there's going to be anything regarding child abuse, it should be a targeted PSA or something like that. It shouldn't go into other people's homes. I have not, if my child is not abused, why are they coming into my home? That's my issue with it. And as far as Mr. Medina's bill, his is a registry, and it's a public registry. So all our information would be public. So it's more, that bothers me also. If I choose to homeschool my child, why would they be able to come to my home, and why would my information be public to anybody?
Right.
Well, you know, it seems like there are a
Thank
couple
you.
of people that may be here on this issue. I would be happy to meet with you to discuss your specific concerns about the bill. I think your concern is reasonable, that you want to protect your privacy, and like I said, I completely support the right of parents to educate their children, to provide a homeschool environment if that's what you believe is in the best interest of your child. So I'd be happy to follow up on that. Just on that note, our local South Bay District Office is in Torrance at the corner of Madrona and Carson Street, just south of the Del Amo Mall. Have a couple of my staff here, Andrew, Melissa, Jen, and so we can take your contact information and follow up on this very important issue.
So Al, I've had my question. You blow me off.
To talk more about spending.
Okay.
If we're number 5 or 6 in the world economy, how come you tax us so much? The highest taxes in the country, except what New York. Why is that so? If we're so rich and so successful, why do you keep increasing our taxes?
Learn from Las Vegas.
Property taxes, you know, I see on your website a whole bunch of stuff about Prop 13. Are you trying to sneak Prop 13 back in there so we get hit with more taxes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Go look at your own website.
Yeah.
All the stuff you have in there about Prop 13 and supporting changes. Don't you change?
We have zero.
Number one.
He voted for the gas tax too.
Number one, let me restate a commitment.
When you go on, I want you to know, or what I want to know what your position is in funding Governor Brown's choo-choo train. Are you going to pay for that? Do you support that ridiculous program?
Okay, let me.
It'll cost $1 trillion by the time that thing's finished. And
All right.
we'll all have to pay for it.
All right. First of all, your question about Proposition 13. You know, again, I suspect that that there isn't anything on any of my websites that talk about how I want to change Proposition 13, because I have made a public commitment to defend Proposition 13, and I have no plans of changing Proposition 13. So whatever you're referring to about all these references on my website, I suspect is frankly not true. Now, second, as to the governor's high-speed rail proposal, you know, I do not, I've stated this before also, I do not support the high-speed rail. I think, you know, while the concept made sense to many of us, including myself, that voted for the original ballot initiative to approve high-speed rail. Since then, the skyrocketing costs, have made it fiscally imprudent to proceed further. And in fact, as the chairman of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, I approved and worked with the proponents of a state audit, bipartisan state audit, to lay out the facts on where all the money is going with the high-speed rail project in order to ensure that California taxpayer dollars are being well spent.
Nothing about Prop 13 on his website, by the way.
You're interrupting, sir. Stop interrupting.
You're interrupting me.
I know.
Okay, you see
So shut up.
it's going down in quality because of lack of funding.
Okay.
They expanded the system.
Set your age or your IQ.
Ability for the state to support it. You know, if it's a corporation that shut down one of the campuses to try and support the other ones adequately.
Yeah.
Now, that's going into a financial disaster, and there's more taxes we're going to have to carry down the road. Why is the state spending money in a lot of crazy crap and not supporting the University of California up to where it needs to be?
Well, let me.
What's the story about that?
Okay.
Very
well, again, let's make sure that what we say is factual. California does spend more money than any other budget priority on education. That includes our spending on our great public higher education institutions. For myself, as a graduate of UC Berkeley and UCLA, I would not be where I'm at here today, but for what I consider is the greatest public university, not just in the country, but in the entire world. And so I see one of my top priorities is to fight for more funding for University of California, where we're pushing for an additional $170 million for the University of California, which is what the UC system is requesting, so that we continue to support and protect this crown jewel public higher education that we have in the
Well,
state
the
of
people
California.
who rate higher education saying that the UC system is degrading for lack of funding.
I did see.
In the literature.
Yeah. No, I did see a recent Los Angeles Times article that talked about how the global rankings by department have slipped in some departments, but I think overall the University of California continues to be the highest ranked public university system in the entire country. Now we want to make sure that we protect that status by investing the necessary funds. And quite frankly, that goes back to your original question. I mean, yes, taxes in California are high, but
why?
The reason why is because we have we need to support things like our University of California.
That's a lie.
In order to have the greatest public education university in the country, we need to support that.
The other thing I don't like about it is.
Sir, you need to limit
Sorry, I didn't
yourself.
mean to block you.
One more question.
You don't like a lot of
Sorry, I didn't want to block you, but I'm really pissed. That's just so not true.
They keep bringing more and more students from out of state,
Yep.
and out of the country.
Your
just
kids
to raise
get pushed
more
out.
money.
Yeah.
Okay? I've been in this state since '58. I have grandchildren coming up for school.
Okay.
And they're going to have to compete with people like that.
How about illegal?
Compete for Californians first.
I agree.
We pay the damn taxes all these years. We should come first.
Yes.
Not people from China, not from Europe, just because they're willing to pay more.
Okay.
And that's a sign that the system is not being managed correctly and the state is not funding it correctly. And if they can't afford it, they need to shut down one of the campuses so they can do it right. Okay? I don't like the fact that you're giving preferences to out-of-state people who do not pay the taxes to support the system.
Okay. All right.
All right, and illegals.
Let me just respond, and then I'll go to you, man. Again, let's focus on the facts. Number one, the University of California, under the California State Constitution, is independent of the California State Legislature, and that we as the, I do not run the California or the University of California. They have a governing body. That governing body is the UC Board of Regents. They determine their admissions policies. They determine the tuition costs, including the policy to admit more out-of-state students and foreign students in order to balance the budget. Now, to be fair to the university, number two, I completely agree with you that the University of California should be for Californians, first and foremost. I have a daughter that I hope will someday follow in my footsteps and get a great University of California education also. And for myself and for all of us in this room who have children or grandchildren that you want to attend our great University of California, I completely agree with you on that point. Having said that, I want to be fair to the UC. I mean, the reason why they admitted more out-of-state and foreign students is because they felt that they needed to do that in order to charge them more money so that they can balance their budget. And I do see, the legislature's responsibility, partial responsibility, to provide greater funding for education. Where does that money come from? It comes from your taxes. So we love California. We love living in California. But in order to enjoy the quality of life that we have in California, to some extent we have to pay for it, and that includes our taxes.
You're paying for a lot of
Yes,
stuff
ma'am.
you don't need.
That's right.
We don't.
My point is to this gentleman's discussion about the UC system. Pardon my ignorance, I'm not clear, other than appropriating taxes, what the state government's role is. But I was very concerned, and I'm sure there are other people in this room who are concerned about the results of the audit of the state of California and the amount of money that, frankly, is wasted. And
CalPERS.
maybe you could give us an insight
Yes, I can.
into what has been done in response to
Yes.
that. I would get rid of Janet and
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Number two, what can we do to make sure that the money that we pay happily to live in this beautiful state isn't wasted?
Okay. So, first of all, your audit of the University of California, that was an audit that, again, as chair of the audit committee, I conducted a oversight hearing following that state audit. And, we made sure, number one, that President Napolitano apologized for what she characterized as not as sitting on millions of dollars in funds, but for not properly accounting for those dollars that eventually were being used for important campus activities, but nonetheless, they did admit that there were serious shortcomings in their accounting procedures, and for that, they have committed to, the state auditor that conducted that audit recommended 31 reforms to improve upon their financial practices, and the University of California and President Napolitano specifically has committed and agreed to implement all 31 of those recommendations. So it's an important point, that I agree with you. We want to make sure that our tax dollars are being well spent, including by the University of California, and that was the purpose of the audit and the hearing that I conducted.
I think we should spend more money on auditing.
Well, more money for auditing means less money in educating our children. So, it's
Also accountable. Have we followed up on progress toward?
Yes, so they are, I believe they are supposed to come back with a report to my audit committee in a month or so, exactly a year after we conducted that, after the audit was issued, where if you contact our office, or actually if you look at the state auditor's website, you'll see they have a 6-month update as well as a 1-year audit progress.
He has a question.
Let's see if this works. Maybe if I stand here.
Yeah, he has a question.
By the way, folks, I don't know if you know Arthur Shopper, but
You pronounce my last name right. I appreciate that.
Okay, is it Shaper?
Shopper.
Shopper. Okay.
I don't need an introduction. I don't want to waste time. I want to be able to just, I want to commend, actually, would you let me allow, I will at least commend you. I respect halfway that you abstained on the bill. So I appreciate on Sb54. So that's the first part. So you've got to give me a chance here. It was a half compliment. I would have preferred a no vote. I know, but we pressured you enough to abstain on it. And I know, I'm sure Ren didn't breathe down your neck to try to do otherwise. You care about law enforcement. You made that statement. That was a concern you had as well. And I want you to actually really show some leadership on this issue, because there are now cities and entire counties which are opting out of this destructive legislation which endangers our police. And by the way, it is not true. The entire Sheriff's Association opposed Senate Bill 54 even after it was amended by Governor Brown's direction. So that's just not true. I was in Westminster 2 days ago, said no, even despite Kevin De Leon's attempt to bully them. I want you to be a leader on this issue in this district. I want you to send a letter to every single municipality in the South Bay and inform them that they need to opt out or resolve to oppose or stay compliance with. So those are legal terms. I know you're a lawyer. We need that. In Hermosa Beach, these two gentlemen are from Hermosa Beach, for example. I've spoken to others in other cities. They have already registered 8 letters from people in the city. We need leadership on this. Our state should not be a sanctuary state except for citizens. And here, this guy calls this 13-year-old boy. Thank you. No, you should applaud for that. Absolutely. And to this man's shame, a 13-year-old boy is not an agenda. This 13-year-old boy was executed by an illegal alien. 1990, 5 days after Christmas. I know the mother, Angie Morphine. Ron De Silva was killed by a gangbang illegal in El Monte. This represents an average of 25 Americans a day killed by illegals. That's not an agenda.
Where's that statistic come from?
So you could go to the FBI records, you can go to the Center for Immigration Studies, and Numbers USA. Thank you. So I answered your question, but I'm speaking to him. He's the Assemblyman, so don't interrupt. So I'm asking you, now you let her go at length, so you're being a little discourteous. But at any rate, I want you to lead on this, because you were the only Democrat who abstained. There were 2 who voted no. I wish you had voted no. I need you to lead on this. You need to send letters to every mayor and city council, like Hermosa Beach, Torrance, which issued a letter opposing the bill, telling them they need to opt out. And I want you personally to join the lawsuit that Huntington Beach filed to stop this monstrosity and put Americans first and protect California lives.
Here, here. Here, here.
Yeah.
All right.
That wasn't so hard, now was it?
I think I spoke on this issue.
No, you didn't. You tap danced around it.
No, I think I laid it out pretty good.
But actions speak louder than words. You're not going to answer that? Are you going to write the letters or not?
My state's in jeopardy. My state's in jeopardy.
No, he didn't.
Between California.
Shameful. I guess Ruben's life doesn't matter, or black lives don't matter. A black life was gunned down in Harbor City. What about his life?
All right, let me
speak to that, please, because you spoke to hers and you spoke to his.
All right, so like I said
Encore.
Let him finish.
Like I said earlier, I did not and do not support the sanctuary state proposal.
Okay.
As a former prosecutor, as a former deputy attorney general for the California Department of Justice, I felt that it ties the hands of law enforcement too much.
It sure does.
And its inability to work with federal officials. But I also emphasize that I support immigrants.
Legal or illegal?
Legal.
That's offensive because people who come legally worked very hard. Do not confuse that with those who break into this country. That's very offensive.
So they deserve a higher reward. No, they did
That
not.
too. That's offensive too.
Including
That's wrong.
the driver,
So I give you my boss name. I'll look her
people
up.
that may have overstayed their visas or, that are here without legal papers,
Right.
but are here because of the sole reason that they want a better life for themselves and their family members. And so,
Okay. And what about Kate Steinle? She doesn't have life anymore.
I'm Persian.
You called him a white supremacist? We're supposed to have a civil dialogue here, and he's calling this guy a white supremacist. Please listen to him. I want to hear you, but he was interrupting. So please stop talking. Go ahead,
Iranians
Al.
are not illegal.
Go
They
ahead.
do it legally.
Hold on. Go ahead, Al. Go ahead. I want you to take an action. Will you do that?
I have stated my position.
Okay, but will you start pressuring the city councils?
I will not.
Why not? Their lives don't matter? American lives don't matter?
Henderson will join the lawsuit.
Yeah, you talk for 10 minutes about what?
Be rude. You want to find that person? I can come back to you.
Okay. Basically, I'm going to follow up from last time when I saw you with the Prop 64 marijuana, because the reason why was because it was that before the January 1st when a lot of things went into effect. But it's the same thing, but the difference is
You can have this. Okay.
the same message situation, like three districts. The only difference is marijuana.
Yeah.
The only difference is the following.
Well, it worked. This is the magic spot.
Driving while
Yeah, well, same thing, pretty much, just the follow-up because of the now full effect of the March, January 1st situation.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir, for that question. You attended my Gardena coffee, and it's good to see you back again.
This is just a follow-up because of it being more in full effect.
Yeah. Well, like I said at my last coffee, I opposed the legalization of marijuana, recreational marijuana. I do recognize that marijuana may have legitimate medicinal uses, but as a father and as a former prosecutor, I did not support the legalization of recreational marijuana.
Same here. All you medical.
Here. I
Yes,
guess.
sir.
I was at your Gardena coffee. Okay. And you were, at your Gardena coffee, you emphasized that you're highly motivated against criminals. Yet, in your first term in the legislature, you voted yes on the Student Bill of Rights, which allows boys to use the girls' restroom in our public schools. It also allows boys to play on the girls' athletic teams in our public schools. How could you vote for such a bill?
Okay.
I know.
I believe the bill was to allow reasonable accommodations that school administrators can make for a transgender student
Don't
to
burp.
use the bathroom of their choice.
Oh.
I know families with transgender children. I do not know why they are transgender, but in my view, they're children that should be loved and respected like any other child.
That's not my question.
And so, and that is why I voted for the bill to allow for school administrators not to just wholesale open up the boys or the girls' bathroom for folks of the opposite gender, or for transgender, or for kids who are exploring such issues. But it's to allow for
He's totally
administrators
nervous and he
to
should be.
make, accommodations, reasonable accommodations. It's not compromising their safety.
Yes, it is.
But I talked to I've talked to South Bay superintendents, I've talked to principals, and they told me that they have no problem in accommodating these students while at the same time protecting and respecting the children, transgender children. So that's why.
You said you talked to the South Bay superintendent. Why aren't you talking to people like this that have students in the school?
Well,
That have
I
girls in
do.
the school.
I
That's who you should talk to.
Do you have any kids in school?
That's who you should talk to. People who have daughters.
He keeps interrupting.
I
He probably didn't go to school.
did talk to a lot of people.
Because there's assholes on
And that is my
I disagree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to know if you can give us an update on the Torrance Refinery.
Okay.
As we know,
There's a question.
There's been a couple of incidents from our view up on the hill. When they restart, we see the flames, and clearly there's stuff going in the air which is noxious for all of us, and it's a real risk that I'm very concerned with.
Well, thank
And
you,
our
sir.
gasoline comes from that.
Thank you for raising that. So, as many of you may know, there's been a string of issues, and before I go any further, I want to recognize former Rancho Palos Verdes Councilman Jim Knight. Thank you very much. In February 2015, there was a major explosion at the Torrance Refinery, and at that time, there was as part of that explosion, there was an 80,000 piece of refinery equipment that fell within 100 feet of this tank that contains over 250,000 pounds of this highly toxic chemical called hydrochloric acid. This chemical, hydrochloric acid, has the chemical propensity, and I know there are scientists in the room that they can explain this better than I can. It has the physical property of forming a ground-hugging vaporized cloud at room temperature, and that can drift for miles if there was any significant release of this highly toxic and dangerous chemical. People that come in contact with this chemical will almost instantly die or suffer serious injuries. And for that reason, I introduced a bill to ban this hydrofluoric acid from all California refineries. This bill has been stuck in committee in the face of tremendous opposition, both from big oil. The oil lobbyists in Sacramento spend more money and are the biggest and most powerful lobby in our state's capital.
And he takes money from them too.
As well as the workers who work at the refinery have also come out strongly in opposition to my bill and to efforts to ban this hydrofluoric acid. And so, unfortunately, I haven't been able to push that bill very far, but we do have an opportunity now. Let me finish, sir. With the South Coast Air Quality Management District, the AQMD, they are our local air quality regulators, and they have been conducting for this past year very important deliberations on whether to adopt a regulation rather than a bill to basically accomplish the same goal. They're talking about trying to phase out this hydrofluoric acid without having to shut down the refinery.
Nice.
That's been the balance that I've been always trying to strike. I introduced the bill to try to protect the surrounding community from this highly toxic chemical. But I also always try to emphasize that I wasn't trying to shut down the refinery. The refinery is where we get our gas, and where it's a big part of the Southern California economy. It's a big source of tax revenues for the city of Torrance, so I always try to emphasize that I wasn't trying to shut the refining process. But the downside of that flaring is that every time a flaring occurs, there is excessive toxic pollutants, chemicals like benzene and NOx and SOx that are being emitted from those pipes. And that is threatening the health and well-being of folks in Torrance and the surrounding communities. We just had a hearing this past Thursday night where we got an update from the California Air Resources Control Board, as well as the AQMD, as well as local activists. There's a great group called South Bay Flare, these mothers that got together to fight against this excessive flaring to protect their children. They all updated us on their activities. I was able to get several other bills that I introduced signed into law. One bill requires air quality monitors to be installed around the perimeter and in the neighborhoods surrounding the Torrance Refinery.
Such a waste of money.
That should be up and running. I believe the AQMD indicated it should be up and running by the summer of next year. And I also passed a bill that got signed into law to require effective air quality monitors in the surrounding communities. The Torrance Fire Department is in charge of implementing those community alert systems. The deputy chief was there to give an update on his progress. He was talking about how they were going to start installing sirens and other upgrades as early as this September throughout the city of Torrance to upgrade their community alert system. So that's kind of an overview and update on what's going on with that issue.
Why the gas tax hike?
Yeah, why'd you vote for it? Oh, doesn't want to talk about it.
The gas tax. So, well, sir, he didn't have a question, but since you raised it,
Yeah, talk about that. Why are you taxing us at the cap and trade too?
Bad behavior, but
Your vote was bad behavior.
Your existence is sickening.
I hate taxes, just like anyone. The gas tax is the only tax increase that I voted on as your state representative. But when the California Chamber of Commerce and the Torrance Chamber of Commerce and the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce, sir, you asked the question. Are you listening to me, or you just want to laugh?
Yeah, our roads are in better shape.
Well, okay.
They're still in bad shape in California. That's a good point. Wow. I thought you guys were all tolerant and loving and accepting.
The reason why
Because he's a liar.
Chambers, came to lobby me to support the gas tax is because not only do they recognize, just like President Trump recognizes, that we need to pay for infrastructure.
Yes.
President Trump is talking about a 26-cent gas tax increase.
No.
How do you feel about that?
Lie. Not true. That's another lie.
And so
No, it is
I
true.
think whether you're a Trump supporter or whether you're, like myself, who believes that we need to invest in basic infrastructure in order for our economy to function, in order for society to function. And that is why
Not the consumer.
And that is why, local chambers of commerce who normally don't.
How are our roads better? Explain that.
Wow.
I'll bet a lot of that money will go into the choo-choo train.
Yeah, and to illegals. That's where a lot of the money's actually going.
Cap and trade.
To illegals.
The bottom line
Yup.
is that we need
Don't point that at me. It has a nail in it.
to maintain our infrastructure, but also that
Sorry, I
that
can throw it
project that I talked about earlier, for the Metro Green Line extension, those projects are only possible because of this new transportation funding. And
Why are our roads
so
better?
That's another example of how we need to invest. That's why we have such a great state. You know?
Why are our roads better? Why are our roads better?
We have a great state and everybody's leaving. My father left.
You didn't answer
My sister
question.
left.
Yeah, learn from us. Shame on the state.
It looks like he's gonna have a heart attack.
And I'm a senior citizen. I've lived in Palisade for 50 years. I've lived in Abilene for 30 years. I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm now retired. And these two issues are kind of to my heart, maybe not as important as some of these other issues that are being brought up today. But one of them is aircraft noise.
Yep.
Up and down the coast. The
You
helicopter,
didn't answer my question.
the jet
No, he
aircraft,
doesn't. Because he's a liar.
Long Beach Police, the LAPD has a school in Long Beach, and they practice
sorry,
out
but your
here.
society's
You've
becoming
got,
third world.
It's not
the
mine. I didn't own it.
call them the flying
I didn't pay for
lawnmowers.
this.
They're very annoying. Your advertising programs are taking that money go. You probably couldn't do that today because you would be interrupted by aircraft noise. There's gyrocopters. There's
It's probably a drone, not a helicopter, but anyway.
there are drones. There are helicopters. If you Google see house things, you'll get 28 companies. And you get in the helicopter and give that guy $100, he'll go anywhere you want, as low as you want. It's very disturbing and it's dangerous. They're constantly out there. And it's very annoying. And as I'm now retired, all my time is spent in my backyard. I do writing, I do gardening, and it's just so annoying.
Ugh.
That's number one. Number two, which you may have more control over because that's deals with the FAA, but is the robocalls. My mother died. My mother died because she was running to the phone because the phone was ringing. She grew up in an era where a phone call was important. Somebody wanted to talk to you about an important subject. She was running to the phone, she slipped and fell and broke her hip, put her in the hospital, and she eventually died from that. It was a robocall. How can we stop these robocalls? Oh, there's laws against it. Yeah, they get a $500 slap on their wrist, and they go back to making $4 million a day. There's got to be something that can be done through the Utilities Commission, which is something you may have more control over than the FAA. So those are my two questions.
Okay.
The quality of life for a senior citizen retiring in California is way down from what it used to be.
Yep.
Help us.
All right. Whoa. Okay, so first, helicopter noise.
Kind of like legislators who never shut up.
Issue is, I hate helicopters, and I would, you know, I will do whatever I can to help you to cut down on helicopters.
Oh, okay.
The problem and the challenge is, as I believe you know, it's the Federal Aviation Administration rather than the state
It's a
that
federal
has
problem.
jurisdiction over helicopter regulation. And so I don't have an easy answer, but I'm happy to meet with you. And you know, I don't know if you're representing an organization, but
No. Richard Root, I don't know if you've spoken to him, he's the one that's kind of the helicopter initiative.
Okay.
I'm also a member of the LAX Roundtable.
Okay.
It's a community organization in local cities.
I didn't vote for this
Trying
guy.
to get the FAA to adhere to their own rules. The jets coming out in the evening cut off and come right over Palo Trees, and they should be going out over Seal Beach. The FAA says, Seal Beach, that's the rule, that's where they should go, and they don't do it. We bring the data to the FAA, and they go, oh, they're not doing what we told them to. Can you imagine that? And nothing happened.
I'm looking at a sign that says library needs room.
Well, that's what you get. I mean,
Happy to follow up to see what we can do about the helicopter noise. Your second question about robocalls. I mean, my parents are 86 and 84, and they get all those calls too. I've been, you know, I've had a series of senior scan stopper workshops where that's like the #1 complaint.
yeah. I know,
Like I
Melissa.
said, there are laws on the book. The problem, the challenge is enforcement. You know, we have all these fly-by-night operations that engage in.
It's a freedom of speech issue too.
Irritating and often illegal and fraudulent. Yeah.
We'll put windows in your house, we'll fix your drains, we'll paint your house.
Yeah.
Vote for me.
All right. Let's follow up on that. I mean, there are First Amendment issues and
Duh. Look at all these people he didn't answer.
Back to your question about the refinery. I'm curious if you think we'll have a chance of passing that bill once Governor Brown's term ends. And on that note, I wanted to know.
Thank God.
Gavin Newsom is
Oh, I know.
So right now, the best chance of.
And notice how he tried to interrupt me and try to set the stage for me in a very negative way, and I didn't let him.
So we focus our energies on the atrium. Depending on what the atrium does, I'm prepared to revisit my bill and to do whatever I can.
So I take that as a no, that you don't expect that when we have our a potential change of regime in the state that you may have a better chance of getting it so fast.
I don't know. I mean, because the reason why my bill is being held is not because of the governor. It's because of big oil and
Who donated to you?
And the labor unions that are
Really?
Yep.
representing the refinery.
Big Oil donated to Al.
That is
Yes, it is true.
What an SOB.
You're lying. Big Oil greased his palm.
Your other question about, I have.
It's true.
There are
And the Democratic Party would, what's the word, launder the money.
I've endorsed John Johnson.
So that means their green energies are scams.
Yeah, they launder the money through the different central committees. Boo! Al is a coward. Ken.
How come the roads in my state are better?
Go back to your state then.
Wow, so violent.
Come on, you didn't answer my question.
They're not. That's false. That's fake news. They're not.
Wow. Take a deep breath there, man.
They're clean, they're in better shape.
They are in better shape. Yeah, how about that gas tax, which goes to illegals, it goes to their housing, it goes to their health care. You know you're paying for that, right? What was that, Health for All Niños that Ricardo Lara pushed? You're paying for that, it's true. No, I'm in the right state. We have the wrong elected officials. That's why. So you're okay with paying for illegals? So, okay, then we agree. I have a right to live here. Don't tell me where I can and cannot live. I have a right to be here. Or do you even think for yourself? I'm just asking. So you tell me, this is just an agenda, yes or no? I know her mother. It's been 28 years, yes or no? I want you to notice how she will not look at this image, a 13-year-old boy, and there you go. This is just a small representation. 62,000 lives lost to illegal since 9/11. I don't think that's an agenda. And I don't think our tax dollars should be paying for illegals to be in this state. It's that simple.
So do you work?
Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do.
Where do you work?
What I'm doing right now, freelance. I'm a writer.
Oh, so you do not.
Do you have a job?
Yes, I am.
What's your job?
I just wrote a check for.
What's your job?
I'm a realtor here in the city.
Is that a real job?
It's a real job. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think of this housing stock we're losing in large numbers? Hi, and you help me out here. I see somebody. Oh, you're here. What's up, Adam G? Good. I'm glad you came.
What do you have going on this week?
Let's see. I'm going to be at Los Alamitos again, and then I'm going to be at the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. I will be at Dana Point.
Why are you not Los Alamitos again? They just have it.
They have to finish the ordinance. Yes, so this is to make it official. Every ordinance has to have 2 readings.
What, by the way, what's your streaming on? Is it Facebook or something?
This is YouTube, and I'm keeping it private because
Why was I can't find your page on Facebook.
I was banned. They shut me down. They don't believe in free speech. It is no joke. We are seeing many people publishing innocuous posts, and they just get shut down. Give me a sec. I give you. Okay.
Media is biased against Las Vegas. Media is biased against Las Vegas. Come to my neighborhood. Come to my neighborhood. I pay $800 a month for an apartment that's not even 10 years old. That's very safe.
Where did Kent go? I know he must have had a question. Cyrus, are these women giving you a hard time, or
No, they're
you're
not.
giving them a hard time?
No, I feel enlightened
Good.
talking to them.
Okay,
I feel
that's fair
enlightened.
enough.
The bottom line is, you can learn from us.
Oh, I don't want another set of cookies.
I'm on those freeways all
Could you help
the
me for a
time.
second?
Why is it that I pay $2.95 for gas and over there, and you pay $3.95? Doesn't that tell you there's waste?
Okay. So I just have a quick question. Why do you call a 13-year-old boy an agenda? You think it's okay to talk like that? Or please explain to me. So you're flipping off the memory of a 13-year-old boy, essentially. Is that correct?
I'm not talking about a 13-year-old boy,
Yes,
sir.
you are,
I'm
right
talking
there.
about you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you, and you're in my face, and I don't
You got
like
in my
you.
face.
I don't fucking like
You got
you,
in
okay?
my face.
I don't like you.
I don't care.
I don't fucking
Do
like
not.
you. I don't like you.
I don't care.
like you.
Don't push.
I don't fucking like you.
Take a deep breath.
Get out of my way. I'm
No,
trying to
you're
get a
pushing me.
cookie.
Whoa,
I'm trying
you're
to get a
violent,
cookie.
aren't you? Why do you have such issues, dude? Take a deep breath. That's how you behave. You teach your children to act like that?
I have no children.
Thank God.
We will.
Okay,
we
when
will.
are you gonna do that?
Our climate would just be like Hesperia and Lancaster. It's not that different from those cities.
Okay.
Las Vegas used to have nights in the 60s in July. Look up the weather statistics.
I'm recording him, don't worry.
And we don't have earthquakes.
But I'm allowed to record nonetheless. It's a public place.
Okay, well, so you want the population to surge to 10 million over there?
Oh yeah, and hopefully.
Well, sadly, it's happening with illegals coming in and then
Elon
trailing into
Musk,
Nevada.
The Hyperloop, we can get there in 20 minutes. We'll tank your home prices. Property tax revenue will drain. The same thing with Phoenix. There's going to be competition, my friend.
Yeah, don't
And I would
take your
love to
picture.
see the
Block your
Sacramento
face.
Coppers starve.
Angelica, block your face. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Don't give me
Do us a favor. Thank you. Bye-bye.
No.
Cyrus, you okay?
I don't know. I smell waste. I smell waste. I smell waste. I smell fraud. That's all I do.
Cyrus, really quick. I want
You guys
to.
have multi-billion-dollar corporations and you can't fund the roads. Can you believe that? We only have one Fortune 500 CEO company.
Maybe we could get more.
Thank God Trump,
We have much less.
Thank God Trump stopped the taxes on the rich. Thank God.
Yes, he did. We saw him expand it for the middle income earners. That's correct.
Why Elon Musk is going to pay less taxes per capita per percentage than I am.
Well, he's going
And
bankrupt.
Many of the wealthy and many of the middle class are flooding my state.
They have to
Yeah.
because they can't live here.
Why are they doing it?
Don't you want those residents? Don't you want those new residents there?
Don't you want them?
A lot of them vote in ways that I vote.
Don't you want them there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you want? And I think California is growing far faster than Nevada is.
No, percentage-wise.
Yeah, with illegals.
Percentage-wise.
With illegals, that's not growth, that's dependence. Have you lost your mind?
Population growth is immigrants. Our population is domestic residents.
Are you kidding me?
From New York and New Jersey.
I gotta tell you, let me tell you something. You want to talk about population growth? We're talking about illegal aliens. We're talking about government unions. We're talking about welfare queens coming out of Texas and Colorado. That's not growth. You know what that is? That is corruption. It's poverty.
Maybe we could get rid of guns and
Yeah. I don't have a gun. Maybe you shouldn't have one.
My councilwoman
Getting rid of
is a
guns?
huge
That's
supporter
a
of gun
weird
rights.
leap.
Michelle Fiore supported the Bundy Ranch. And hopefully the Bundy's going to be governor of my state. And we'll sue California for sanctuary.
People in Nevada aren't that stupid.
Oh,
They're not that stupid.
Really?
To vote for Bundy, yes.
Really?
Yes, really.
Really, what did Bundy do wrong? They wanted to take his land and build a solar farm. Harry Reid was behind it. Harry Reid is the one
I'm in favor of it also.
Of
I'm
what?
in favor of it
Taking
also.
private
No,
property?
it wasn't private property. It was public property.
No, it wasn't.
On and he was violating the law.
No, it wasn't. He had every right to defend his property and his
No, it
cattle.
wasn't his property.
Yes, it
I
was.
met Cliven Bundy last week.
My
I
goodness.
met my mayor 2 days ago. They all give me a lot of respect. You should learn from us. My councilwoman really likes me a lot.
Well, I'm glad she does.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I'm
can learn
really
from
glad
us.
that
Our
you
state's
showed up,
not going
Cyrus.
to the ground.
No,
It's
our
too bad.
state.
You're one of his staffers, correct?
Our state is doing better
Yes.
than Nevada is.
Oh, yeah. So many people are leaving. The highest poverty rate.
They're leaving this state in droves, and you're saying this state is better. Please explain that.
Home prices
Explain the
are out of
immigration.
control. I pay $800 a month for my apartment. Not even
That's
10
because
years
people
old.
don't want to live there. They want to
No,
live here.
because we
Wow.
make it easier
He's
to
getting
build
really.
new homes.
What's up, librarian?
Yeah.
How you doing?
We know how to work the regulations.
I thought he was pretty.
More in the downturn than California did.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, your state was getting the brink of bankruptcy. It was worse than our state. We don't have state income tax. Why don't you have state income tax? No state income tax.
I would like
Why
that.
don't you have state income tax? Because you've got a lot of really stupid people that come in there and spend their money in the resort.
It was in our Constitution!
Well, it's
and they're pumping in the illegals to vote or call their friends so they can give us income tax. They want to turn Las Vegas into the next Los Angeles. That's what these culinary workers union are trying to do.
Income taxes because of the money that comes out of the gambling.
Really?
Yes, really.
Roger. We have casinos here, though. We have casinos here.
Exactly. And by the way, you guys have many Silicon Valley companies. You got so many major companies here. Maybe if you check out the fraud rates and abuse, maybe
Wow, he's going to sure take his while. You know he's going to do that.
think about that.
I think the library needs
That's what
this.
I read. Where are you going?
I have no idea. But I know we have to leave because the library needs the room. Or actually, they need to shut the room, correct? You guys need to just shut the building down. Good question. Yeah, give me a sec, everybody. Everybody, later, folks. This is my Assemblyman, Al Muratsuchi, who tap dances, lies, and is basically a puppet of the regressive left of Sacramento. I'm really glad some people got some great questions in. Talk later.